I've been in the red light therapy space for many years now. I got a bunch of panels. I've used all sorts of different devices, and I've read a fair few studies and papers when it comes to red light therapy. So I often get asked, hey, you know a bit about this stuff. How do you actually use it? In this video, I'm gonna reveal all. Hey guys, Alex here from alexfergus.com. Yes, I'm gonna share my typical protocol as of, September 2022. This is how I use red light therapy on a day-to-day basis. It's not necessarily how you should use it or anything like that. I just get a lot of questions. People saying, what do I do? What are my frequency? How often a week do I use it? Do I use goggles? What devices do I use? When do I use it? In the day, morning, night, evening, all those sort of things. So in this video, I'm gonna make it nice and short. I'm gonna reveal all. So first up, behind me, this is where I do most of my red light therapy sessions. I'm in my gym. I've got a little Sunstream Evolve sauna here. I've actually got 4 Platinum LED Biomax panels clipped onto that. I've got a wall mount at the top here. I've done videos on my setup before, so I don't want to get too much into that setup. I'll put links to all that below. And then I've also got a smaller Platinum LED 600 on the side. These are all wirelessly synced, so if I turn them off or turn them on, which I'm gonna do now because it's very warm and bright, you'll see that they all turn off. Likewise, if I adjust the settings on one, they all change. So anyway, this is where I do most of my red light therapy sessions. I say most because there are a few exceptions. So I'm using the Biomax, the latest Biomax 900s, putting out 660, 850, plus some of those other wavelengths in there as well. I've been using these panels for the Platinum LED panels for a couple of years now. I had great results, so I continue to use them. I am fortunate that I have on hand a bunch of other panels. Light Path LED with their flicker panel, the Mito Pro 1500 from Mito Red Light, that's a really good panel as well. I've got some Juve panels lying around. I've got all sorts of infrared in that. It's just that I've used this before. It works well. I'm happy with it. So if it ain't broken, don't fix it, right? So that's the first thing. In terms of how many sessions a week I'm doing, to be honest, these days, most of my sessions are used around my training. So I train 4 to maybe 6 times a week. Probably on average 5 times a week, right? I usually train about 3, 4 o'clock. It's when my body likes lifting and working hard. It also suits my schedule and that the best as well. So I actually come out to my gym and do my red light therapy session as part of my warm-up. It's the first thing I do. I come out here, turn the lights on, turn the music on, radio, whatever, and then I jump in front of that. At the moment it's winter time, so I feel a little bit warmer standing next to it as well, so I think that helps. I will then do my visualizations or my planning for the day, any other little biohacks I'm doing, with my Power Breath device or my Kutsu bands. I do all of that when I'm doing my red light. Sometimes my family's out here, so we're all hanging around chatting, and I'm not doing some of those other things. So typically I do my red light therapy sessions at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 to 5 times a week. Now, every now and then I may do a red light therapy session out of those usual times. And that may be because I'm not training, because I've got a week off, or I'm sick, or we're going away, or whatever reason. In which case I try to come out here because I've got the nice setup, but I've also got some panels inside of my home office. I rotate those around when I'm reviewing panels. So, I might have a Cyto LED panel or a Solbasium panel, or whatever I've got at the time. I've got a couple of those set up. In fact, there's a red light rising panel there at the moment. So I might just do a quick session on there, if I'm a bit sore, if we're going away for a few nights and I just want to do a session. That could be in the morning, though typically it's at night when the kids are asleep. But I'd say 80 to 90% of the time I'm out here 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon doing a session with the Biomax panels. Okay, so the next question, how long is my typical red light therapy treatment? Well, I don't really track it, to be honest. I know there's some cool settings, with the timer on the side there. Typically I come out, I'm keeping an eye on the time for my workout and what I've got to do. Once I've done some of my biohacks and planning, I kind of just move on. So I'd have a guess and say that it's anything from a total duration of 5 minutes to as long as maybe 15. I doubt I'd go much longer than that. It probably averages out to be around that 10-minute mark. If we average it out, I'm doing say 10 minutes, 5 times a week. Every now and then I'll do something on the side or something extra and maybe a longer workout or a shorter, but just as an average, that's what I'm doing. Now I should just add, remember I do have 4 Biomax 900s plus this little panel on the side. I'm getting a ton of light from that. So if you've just got one panel, you may want to do more than the 10 minutes, right? Like you may want to do, 5-10 minutes on one leg, 5-10 minutes on the other, 5-10 minutes on the chest, then do the same on the back. I should mention, when I say the total duration averages out to be about that 10-minute mark, I'm typically breaking it in half. So I'll do 5 minutes, say, facing this way, and then 5 minutes facing this way. I just move around. Sometimes I even stand, side onto it. Sometimes I'll lift this panel up high and hang it up there on the hook to do more of the face, like if I've got a sore tooth or something like that. So I'm mixing it up. I'm trying to hit all areas of my body, primarily the legs and back, because that's what I'm doing a lot of training with. But yeah, I do mix it all up. Okay, so what about the wavelengths? Well, again, I'm using the 900, Biomax 900 here from Platinum LED, and I just have both the near infrared and the red light at max power. Sometimes I will drop the red light if my little ones are out here or my baby's crawling on the floor and I don't want that bright red light in their eyes, so I'll drop the red light and just do near infrared. Otherwise, like, I'm always using both. I don't really see the need to use one or the other, so that's just me. I just use all the LEDs that are in there, they're running at full capacity. Do I use goggles or eye protection? No. I have a bunch of them. I have the glasses, I have the goggles, I've got all sorts of things that have turned up over the years. I personally just haven't really bothered with it. I don't look directly at the LEDs. If I'm standing face on, I'll sort of look up or off to the side, or I will just close my eyes. Even saying that, the eyelid's pretty thin, so it's not the best protection. But yeah, I try not to look directly at it. That's not like advice for you. I mean, there is evidence showing that the red light therapy can be beneficial for some eye disorders, but these lights are very bright. So yeah, I mean, you're probably best to use the goggles. It's just me, I just don't bother. Do I use any other treatments or supplements or any other hacks in conjunction with my red light therapy panels? I do, but it's not necessarily to get more out of the red light therapy device itself. As I mentioned earlier, I use it in my warm-up, so I'm using my power breath diaphragm training device. I use my kudzu bands to help with blood flow and warm-up and all that jazz, but it's not related to red light therapy. I know some people take certain supplements or they'll use facial serums. Mito Red Light have one that's been shown to help with skin quality when used with red light therapy. I don't do anything like that. I'm not saying those things don't work. It's just, I personally just haven't looked into it much and I haven't really bothered with it. Okay, so what are the exceptions to my regular routine of using red light therapy out here in my gym? Well, there are a few times. Like I said before, sometimes I'll use it in the house, usually in the evening, like if I missed a red light session or I'm a bit stiff after a few days of lifting. But there's also the battery powered handheld devices here. This one's the Infrared Micro. I was just using this before in an experiment. Be sure to subscribe to check that out. But inside I have my Mito Red, the Mito Red Light equivalent of this. I compared a bunch of these earlier on, or maybe last year I think it was. There's a video on that and the Mito Red one came out on top. I'll use that, sometimes I'm just sitting watching TV or reading a book and I might have like a sore knee or a sore elbow or wherever, and I'll just spot target using this. It's silent, there's no fans, it's not too bright, like it doesn't glow, light up the whole room like these things do. So it's just nice to have lying around. My wife uses it if she's got, I don't know, a sore somewhere. Even my little boy, like if he, falls off his bike and has a graze, he knows to go and get the little red light device and do a few minutes of that. So that is something else that I will use every now and then. Another time I'll use my panels outside of my typical warm-up is when I'm training. So if I'm doing some interval sprints and I have long rest periods, maybe a couple of minutes, I'll often just come over here, do 30 seconds or so in one of those rest periods. And that's just to help with the recovery and the ATP synthesis. The next question, what am I wearing or what am I not wearing when I'm doing red light therapy? Well, typically I'm just stripping down to my underwear. So I have as much skin as possible exposed. I sometimes would drop my undies and go completely naked. However, I'm always worried that someone's going to turn up here, you know, in the gym, and I've got a big roller door sometimes open, or if my family and little kids are out here, yeah, it's like, hey, Dad, you know, put some clothes on type thing. So most of the time I'm just in undies, but sometimes I'll go completely naked. If I am rowing and doing those sessions in between, in my rest periods, I will try again to get as much skin exposed as possible. But if I'm wearing like my rowing tights, or you know, like my onesie and that, sometimes I don't bother taking it off because I'm so exhausted. You know, my heart rate's at 170s or whatever. The last thing you want to do is take clothes off and put them back on again. So I just leave them on and know that the infrared rays will penetrate the, you know, the thin clothes I'm wearing. But most of the time I'm trying to get as much skin as possible exposed to the lights. What about the sauna? So I often get asked, hey, you've got a sauna and red light therapy, how do you use them together? I covered this in a video about 2 years ago, so I'll do a quick update on that. I don't use red light therapy when I'm in the sauna. I've done a video of why you shouldn't put the panel inside. I could set it up on the glass door, but it's just annoying, like, you know, it gets in the way and that. So what I typically do is, if I were to do a sauna session today, I'll turn the sauna on while it's heating up. I would do some red light, you know, in that warm up sort of period. But I don't use the sauna as much as I do with the red light session, because red light, you can just come out here, 5-10 minutes, away you go. A sauna, you know, you need 15-20 minutes for it to heat up. Obviously when you're getting in there, you need, you know, a good 20-30 minutes. Then you're all sweaty afterwards, you know, so you need to have a shower, change your clothes and all that. Red light, I mean, I could just take my top off and do a session right now. So most of the time I'm just doing a red light session, a sauna less frequently. But if I am going to use them in the same session, I do the red light therapy first. Okay, I hope that's everything. If I've missed something, leave your question below and I will do my best to answer it. But yeah, in a nutshell, I'm using it 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm using it for about 10 minutes, split between front and back. And I do it maybe 4 to 5 times a week with as much skin exposed to the lights as possible. Oh, that's one other thing that I've just thought of. What about distance from the panel? So typically they say be 6 inches from the panel. I stand a lot closer. I'm probably about 3 or 4 inches. It's just the way it's been set up here, and I don't know, I just always like going reasonably close to it. So yeah, that's something else I should have mentioned earlier. About 3-4 inches away from the panel. If you do want to buy any red light therapy device, use discount code ALEX, ALEX. It works for most brands out there. It will save you a little bit of money and helps me to continue doing these reviews and putting out this content for you guys. All right, I'll sign off now. I'll see you later. Bye.